and welcome to the Living Your Dharma by Design podcast. So I'm going to start the first episode with Dharma, the concept of Dharma, and then in the second I'll go to human design. And I cannot unlink the two, but I will break it down for this. I like to keep my podcast short and digestible. And it's just a way for me to share my passion, and as a generator, which I'll go into more in the next podcast, it's my way to just show up in the world. So what is Dharma? Dharma is a Sanskrit word, and like many Sanskrit words, it has many meanings. So I'm also a yoga teacher as well. I've studied yoga and the philosophy, and I absolutely adore it. So Dharma, my take on it. I always say this, but I can only teach from my lens of perception and my understanding of it. So we've all got kind of different variations, and that's what's beautiful about us all. We're unique. We have our own way of seeing the world and expressing concepts and ideas and energy. So to me, Dharma is an expression of our soul. It's an expression of our soul's purpose or spiritual purpose, and it's something so deep inside of us. It's our reason for coming to this earth. It's our uniqueness, and it's how it's expressed. So Dharma can be a career, it can be a hobby, it can be the way you just live in your life. I've heard of Amma, the hugging saint, and her life's purpose is to show unconditional love. So we can have one main Dharma, one main focus, or we can be multi-passionate. And it really is about expressing your creativity and your uniqueness in the world. So I'll take you through my journey as to how I ended up as a Dharma coach, and then the Dharma coaching, as always, as it is with me, led to an absolute obsession with human design that I could not ignore. So I did train. I have got a law degree and a master's in law in human rights and civil liberties. My master's was. I've always had this deep desire to ponder the deeper questions. My dissertation for my master's was actually on the right to live and the right to die, euthanasia. And it was so fascinating to delve into all of that, all of the mind stuff, all of the concepts. And human rights is something that I still hold very dearly. And at present, it is December 2021. And my heart breaks because it feels like human rights are being stripped away from us all the time. But that's another podcast on my other channel. I do have another podcast, Slow Down, Live Deeply, which is about mindset and energy and yoga and shamanic work and my journey from being a breast cancer survivor. So my Dharma, my purpose, you'll learn more about that in the design, why in human design talk, why it's been so varied. But I then worked as a business analyst. That was not for me. I was so burnt out. I was so deeply unhappy because it wasn't my soul's expression. It was not where I was supposed to be. So when I was pregnant with my first child, my husband said to me, "What are you going to do?" And out of nowhere, Reiki master came. I didn't even know what Reiki was. I'd never had Reiki. And around that time, I found my first spiritual teacher. So I'd always done yoga. I'd always done meditation from the age of 16. I'd always been interested in the indigenous people's cultures from around the world. It was there. It was always in there. This deeper knowledge, the wisdom that I believe we have in our DNA from ancestors and many, many lives. So I've always been a searcher, a truth seeker, and never a change maker because I hid. So I retrained to be a Reiki master. I was very successful. I had a really blossoming, booming business actually. I trained in shamanic practices, soul retrieval, massage, EFT, Hopi ear candles, so many things. I just kept adding my tools. Everything's a delight, and so I follow my passion. And oh, that sounds amazing, I'll follow that. And that was the right thing for me, as you'll learn in episode 2. And then yoga. I just fell in love with yoga. So I opened a yoga studio, moved away from the therapies. The reason being that I could only affect one person at a time, 1 hour at a time with my therapist. Whereas in a yoga class, you can impact more people, and they also go away with tools to cope. Many students said, and I'm sure you say to your yoga teacher, you were with me when I made this decision. I could hear you saying this. I could hear you reminding me to breathe. And so to teach tools to people to be more empowered resonated with me more than just working on one body at a time. And with that, it felt like they needed to keep coming back and keep coming back. And really, my aim was for them to not come back, for them to have transformation and empowerment. And so the yoga studio was well established. It was amazing. I also did some coaching, and I, at the same time as my yoga studio, I did essential oils, and I still do. I partner with doTERRA. I'm a wellness advocate. You can always catch me if you want to learn more. They are amazing. They're a big part of my wellness lifestyle. And so I started coaching as well. COVID hit, and it was about a week in, I heard this voice, very strong intuition, close your studio. And so I did. I made the decision, and it was definitely the right decision, nearly 2 years on, absolutely the right decision. But it's like, what am I going to do now? So that's when I started to follow the breadcrumbs. For the first year of COVID, I just got my business online. I got my yoga online. I looked after my existing customers, and that was a drive and lots of learning and lots of work to do that. And then people started to come to me for coaching very naturally. I would already trained in it. And then I got the inkling early 2021 to start to teach my shamanic work. It felt like that was needed in the world to empower people to journey and really connect in that way. Again, this is all on my other podcast. I split my podcast because this will be very distinct over time. This is going to be very distinct in terms of human design and living your Dharma, your purpose. And they're the ones more about wellness and mindset and living deeply. So they intertwine, but they are different. And I think it could get very messy just being on one podcast, one platform. And so the coaching and the shamanic work happened naturally. And it, again, like everything I do that I'm aligned, it blossomed. And I sat with myself and I looked at my life, which I do often now. Am I happy? Am I following joy? What am I doing? And I realised that just responding to the pandemic by having all my yoga classes online, I wasn't feeling very good about it. I wasn't feeling good about just doing yoga in front of a screen, seeing bits of people in hatha classes and not being able to tweet them or hear the breath. It just didn't feel good, and it got to a stage where just to open the laptop, and it isn't my students because I loved seeing them, I love the connection, it wasn't filling me up, it was actually draining me. The things that translated really well for me online was teaching yin yoga and restorative yoga, which I still do. I have a membership that I teach in that. And so I let the hatha classes go. This is what we call in the Dharma world a leap. I let go of most of my income. And so I was like, what am I going to do now? But I knew deep down I could not keep doing what did not resonate or feel good. I didn't want to show up for my students, not at full expression. It's not my style. And the day that I decided to stop, I saw an advert for a Dharma coaching course with a beautiful soul, Sahara Rose, that I've been following and really resonated with. So I jumped in. And it was amazing. I was like, this is where I am. This is where I need to be. All my work with yoga and with essential oils and with coaching was to bring people back to their power, their passions and their purpose. But I just didn't think of it as Dharma. And so it just resonated. The course pulled in the yogic philosophies, Ayurveda, doshas. It was just magical. And then right at the end, she introduced human design. Now, this is something I've been putting off looking at for a while because everyone was talking about it. And I don't like to do what everyone else is doing. I like to do my own thing. But I could not argue with the knowledge. And I just knew that with this knowledge, I could get into my coaching and effect more transformation, deeper transformation, and really help souls get into their shadow work and know how to make decisions and manifest and know how to express themselves in the world. And if there was any confusion, to find more clarity. And I could not ignore it. So here I am. That was my journey, following the joy, following the breadcrumbs. And also, so my Dharma is that I feel now that I've got it at the grand old age of 47, one of my parts of my Dharma, because I am what is known as multi-passionate. So my main expression in my work is to really help people slow down and live deeply. That's the first part. So that's the 3D, live well in this world, get toxins out of lives, help the planet. I'm also vegan as well, so that's a big part of my Dharma, my purpose, which I do on my other site. And then here it's about living in your fullest expression, living in your Dharma, in power. And I believe that if everybody followed their Dharma, we would have world peace. Because with the Dharma, I see us all in these, it's like a jigsaw puzzle. We're all part of the whole, but this uniquely different bit that won't be replicated anywhere else on the jigsaw. And so as a multi-passionate person, that's number one. In April this year, for my 47th birthday, I'd caught myself in my head saying, I can't wait to retire because then I'll paint. And I thought, well, hang on, I'll never retire because I love what I do. This is the internal chatter, isn't it? And then I was like, why am I telling myself to wait? I can do it now. And so I asked for some paints for my birthday. I got an Artify class just to give a few techniques. And off I went. I tried to replicate what the teachers had taught and I could not do it. Just something completely different came out. I didn't know anything about abstract art, and yet I created, and I love them, it's just an expression of energy and emotion. I created abstract art. I put it on social media to say, look what I've just done, because I'm like that. I'm really happy with what I've done. I'm like a child in a lot of ways. And they sold. I was like, what? And this has become part of my Dharma as well. But it's part of my expression. It's part of my healing energy and transformational energy in the world. It's an expression. So it's not necessarily what I'm going to do for my main work, but it's there. It's a creative outlet. So it was supposed to be a hobby. But my husband rightly said, because I don't paint small, I paint big. He was like, the house can only hold so much, so I will be letting them go. But that is an expression and it's part of me. And also writing poetry, that came back again. And I say came back because your Dharma tends to be the things that you loved to do as a child. And the things that if you had all your needs met in terms of the 3D, financial, physical needs, if you had all those things met, which I know isn't so easy, what would you be doing? And so what I do is I can help coach. I'm trained in a specific set of sequences. However, there is the freedom for me to coach intuitively around that because I can connect with guides and and teach you meditations and so many different things. But it's a beautiful progressive coaching program where we look at how you like to show up in the world and express, and what you loved and what your mediums are, and what's your Dharma archetype. It's just beautiful. I love it, and I'm so blessed to be able to coach in this way. And now I have the human design to just get in so much deeper, and it's just rippling out into the world. So my next episode will be an introduction to myself in terms of human design, and then it will keep rolling from there. I would love to know what you think about all of this. Does this resonate? Because as a Dharma coach, I actually think we're very needed at the moment, because it feels like the world is being shaken up and saying, what do you really, really, really want to do? What is it? And I just want to stress before I go out, I always say I'm going, then I don't, but I want to stress that it doesn't have to be that you change your career. My art expression lights me up, and if I'm lit up, everything else I do, everyone around me is more lit up. I'm there for everyone more, because my soul is evolving, it's being expressed, and it's being nourished by my own actions. Made with so much love to pique your interest and start to get you to question and reflect. Future podcast episodes will be. Sending love. Take care. Bye.